So it's April 27th, 2020. It's about 6:10 in the morning, and I'm here in the parking lot outside of my hospital, getting ready to head into my first shift as the attending on one of our COVID positive services. I'm not entirely sure what to expect. This is a general medicine ward, so these patients are not on the ventilator. I'm obviously a bit nervous. This ward doesn't have negative pressure rooms. We are gowned up and masked up pretty much for the entire day while we're up there. It's as scary as it is because there's so many unknowns about the disease. You know, I can't imagine going through this period of time and not doing this.
Hi, my name is Perry Wilson. I'm the attending physician. He's listed you as someone he wants updated about his condition. Everything is fine. We're really happy with his progress at this point. He's not requiring any oxygen.
It feels like the hospital. The difference is that when you see the patients, they all have the same disease. At least they have one of the same diseases. The patients are scared, even though most of mine are doing quite well. They know that things can go south quickly and they miss their families. It's really hard on them.
QTC is good. 424 on day 2. Hydroxychloroquine. He's on 1 liter nasal cannula.
We've taken care of patients who are young, who are without comorbidities, who end up in the ICU. To me, I think that variance is the scariest part. One thing I'm making a point of doing here on the COVID service is thanking the patients who are enrolled in clinical trials. You know, they are saving lives by evaluating all these different remedies. So tell us how you got here.
So I am a nurse, licensed practical nurse, and I work in 2 nursing homes in Connecticut.
We admitted another nurse today. Those are the ones you really feel, you know. This was a woman who was working in a nursing home in the area that's been pretty hard hit. She was telling me, you know, about a number of residents who have died in the nursing home, many of whom without even coming to the hospital. And she did everything right. You know, she used the personal protective equipment that they had available for her. Doesn't sound like it was ideal. As soon as she became symptomatic, she stopped going to work. That was almost 2 weeks ago.
I love my residents.
How do you feel now that you're in the hospital?
I'm more concerned with them still. I'm not able to see them and just hearing about them passing away, and I'm not there.
Well, we're going to do our best to get you out of here soon, okay? She's just thinking about her residents at the assisted living facility. She's a good nurse. I told her she's a good nurse. It's day 4 now. We're not just admitting patients from the ER who need a little bit of oxygen. That's maybe 50% of who we have on the floor right now. The other half are patients coming out of the ICU, and we're starting to see like the downstream sequela of really severe COVID-19 disease. And of course, these are the lucky ones. These are the 50% of the people who are ventilated and survive and come out of the ICU. But for example, I have a patient who is in the ICU for 3 weeks on the ventilator, on pressors, proned, the whole thing. And, you know, he made it out. But this was a relatively healthy, middle-aged guy, you know, living at home, who now can barely walk. And it makes me think about, is there going to be a post-COVID syndrome? Yale's protocol does use hydroxychloroquine for people who have an oxygen requirement. I can't say I've been incredibly impressed by the effects. I don't have enough personal data, but I certainly haven't seen miraculous recoveries with hydroxychloroquine here. We also were part of the remdesivir trial, or of a remdesivir trial, which also hasn't appeared to be particularly miraculous. And I say that in light of a recent press release that shows a potential benefit for remdesivir in these patients. So we're, at the time I'm recording this, we don't have that data yet. We don't have the full paper, just the press release. So we'll see. I'm sure that remdesivir will be prescribed more, and we'll get a better feel for how well it works. But I have had a few patients on it, and it's certainly not turning a switch and getting people better overnight. But it would be Pollyannish to expect that anything would do that, right? I found out a couple of the nurses on the floor are out sick today, and one PCA. So I think that's on everybody's mind. But man, the nurses are cool under pressure. I can't even tell you. I'm so impressed. Coronavirus complicates everything. Your patient needs an MRI. You got to talk to 4 different people, right? And get the approvals, and it's not unreasonable. Of course, you don't want to contaminate the MRI suite,
So yesterday wasn't so good. My O2 sats were low, and I was vomiting a lot. But today, it seems that I've had a turnaround.
It would be like space because it would just be more nothing, right? Except there wouldn't be stars, galaxies.
So this is my personal PPE routine. So I'm in the COVID car that no one else drives. I get to the parking lot outside the hospital. I put on my hair covering here and my personal N95 mask. This is like my home N95 mask. I then walk to some of the patients that I anticipated were on a good trajectory, took a step back. Most people just sort of treading water. It's just so slow. Such a slog.
Okay. So, ready to go home?
Yes, I'm ready to go home.
I started the week feeling like all of my medical decisions were critically important all of a sudden, because I had to think about how everything was going to interact with the virus. I end the week sort of back in an old mode where I feel like, medically speaking, I didn't do that much. The best medicine I gave anyone this week was supplemental oxygen therapy. The nurse we admitted at the beginning of the week, who I told this morning that she could probably go home, we took her off oxygen. Her O2 sat dropped to 89%, so she's going to stay one more day, despite being on remdesivir. There's no miracles here. I feel sort of guilty. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be back doing what I normally do, which is clinical research. And meanwhile, everyone I was working with this week, all the nurses and the MAs and the PCAs, are still there. There is no end in sight for them. For most of our healthcare workers who are clinical, this is the new normal. And they deserve tons of respect for that, because their job just got way harder. And they deserve a lot for what they're doing.